And then he gave me the greatest title, and it is Why I Am So Bullish About Huntington. And I said, that is perfect. So I am, in extending my gratitude, I'm thankful for Dr. Tuma. He and Dee Dee were, had several conversations with campus administration about this program, and so they were the first people that I met with to say, how do you think we get this thing started, and look at what we have. It's amazing. And so I'm thankful for him and what he does in our community, and I'm so thankful he bailed me out, because until I got his email, I was starting to brainstorm, well, I think I could do something about maybe, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to go ahead and make that presentation that I was starting to cook up in my head and just have that in my pocket just in case. But I hope we can go maybe about 15 more Tuesday talks before I have to pull it out. So, with that, Dr. Tuma.
Thank you so much for the nice introduction. Yes, we've been together forever, worked at the admissions office at Marshall University. Well, from what she said, I'm the one with the stamina, right? I mean, the other guy has the stamina. Thank you. I'm not going to talk to you about the White House or Washington. These are too big for me. I'm going to talk to you about our beloved Huntington. And I'll talk to you about where we are, what we have done. I'm sure you know a lot of this, but I want to tell you what I feel about Huntington from my perspective and watching it for the last 30 years. And if I look at my iPhone, I'm not reading my messages or anything. These are some notes for me, so please don't think that I'm rude. We moved to Huntington, Omema and I, in 1971. And I want to give you some background that you all know the history of Huntington in the 20th century. When we moved, Huntington was, doing well, but was on the verge of the changes that came all over the United States. And the changes is leaving the Industrial Revolution economy to the new economy. And it was very slow, and then it picked up very fast. So let's start with downtown. The downtown, when we came, there were a couple of department stores. The mall was starting to be built, and suddenly, before you know, everybody left downtown, the department stores. So after a while, it was like a ghost town. Seriously, Third Avenue there's nothing in Third Avenue except a dusty place called the Super Block. and where they had, what do you call it, when on Saturday people drive their trucks back and forth. That was a that place. Yeah. And then we had I hate to say it, but not a first-class restaurant, only one restaurant, and the mayor at that time was very excited, but nothing was happening. That was psychological blow for us in Huntington, because what downtown is for me is the heart of the city, the pride of the city, and we lost it. So after a while, after several false starts, nothing happened. For instance, one time we were going to, somebody was going to build a high-rise building, 14 floors, and bring all these law offices there, and Ashland Oil and all of that stuff. Thank God it didn't happen, because if it happened at that time, we would have lost any opportunity to restore the buildings across the street and bring the tenants and the law offices and all of these wonderful businesses to downtown, revitalize it. Then they wanted to have an amusement park, whatever. Finally, I think the big turnaround was when Pullman Square came. And we have some wonderful developers from Columbus. These developers knew what's going on in the world and in the United States. And they realized and recognized that this is the right place to have it to be the center of activities in downtown Huntington, or in Huntington. When they built the Pullman Square, everybody across the street, including us, Omema and I, were so excited, and we had a meeting with the developers, and they told us something that was very critical. They said, we were about 10 of us, the people who own property downtown, said, guys, I want to tell you something. If you don't move, if you don't develop your properties, you're dead. And we're dead. I mean, Pullman will fail, you will fail, and Huntington will fail. So we answered the challenge. Several of us, not the two of us, several of us answered the challenge, but we started restoring downtown. There were several buildings that were boarded, so we bought a building and we restored it. We took the stuff on 10th Street and 3rd Avenue. It was boarded, and suddenly it was big windows, full with light, and within 2 years it was all rented. So that was the beginning, and people took notice. Liza Caldwell did a wonderful job. Liza, a lot of you know Liza. She started on 4th Avenue, but unfortunately 4th Avenue was not as exposed to the development as 3rd Avenue because of Pullman Square. But she's the one who really started the first thing downtown. Fast forward now. I judge downtown cities from the upper floors. We went to a wedding of my cousin in Louisville, and we had a hotel. We stayed at a hotel in downtown, and I was walking, admiring the beautiful buildings. Guess what I noticed? That was 2-3 years ago, right, on my mom. I noticed that all the upper floors were boarded, and they were very smart. They boarded them behind the glass. So you look like there's glass, but you see, I mean, why everything is yellow? So that was, they boarded it behind the glass. To me, that's failure. I mean, you go to our downtown in Huntington, the upper floors are full from 9th Street all the way to 12th Street. I mean, on both sides, totally full. I mean, almost totally. I mean, maybe 95% full. To me, that's a big statement. If you go to downtown, my last count, there are 46 buildings that have been rehabilitated. 46 buildings in small downtown Huntington. And this is amazing. To me, it's amazing. And fortunately, most of them are full. Most of them are doing well. We have a good friend of ours who is an architect in Huntington. She had a tough time. She had property next to the city hall. Guess what? She's full now. She's 100% full. And that's not in Pullman area. That's towards 5th Avenue. In downtown today, we have a lot of condominiums and a lot of apartments that I think that last count was about 125, 150, which is a lot because we had 0 before. And as we speak, there are 2 projects that are going to start soon for lofts and apartments. So we have, in addition to the business, in addition to the law firms, in addition to all of them, we have now people living in downtown. We don't have yet a grocery store or a pharmacy. That's all right. The market is going to bring them, not us. I mean, we can't force these people to come, but when there's a lot of people and we have 500 apartments and lofts, then they are going to come, the small store and stuff like this. What's happening recently, I mean, in the last year is also amazing. Both hotels changed affiliation. The Pullman Hotel now is DoubleTree. They spent about $12 million restoring that hotel. 12 million. And they are not from Huntington. What does this tell us? They see something good. They believe that they are in a good place and they want to be where they are. So they spent $12 million. I went to the lobby the other day with my son Joe, our son Joe, and I was shocked. I mean, it's modern, it's beautiful. They tore down everything, the beds, and they are restoring it. The same thing at the Holiday Inn. The Holiday Inn on the north side of 3rd Avenue. It's becoming now one of the affiliates of Marriott. And they are spending about $4 million.
Beautiful inside.
It's going to be amazing. What does this mean? It means that we are going to have more conventions because they are going to work with us now. They are our partners. The Pullman Square, not from Huntington, but they are our partners. their success is our success and vice versa. So to me, I'm very excited because the city is painting the convention center from the outside. They changed the chairs, they put new air conditioning, which is, we are preparing ourselves for conventions. We're preparing ourselves for when Marshall has a game. Hey guys, we can put your team in a nice hotel downtown, and then they're going to have to go out and eat and buy a little gift and you know, pay for one night of you know, staying in Huntington. So this excites me a lot. In the past 6 months or a year, ourselves and other owners, there's about 10 new businesses coming to downtown. And they are all new guys. It's not, see, progress is not that you're moving from one store to this store in the same area. You lose a tenant, they gain a tenant, but what do we gain? Nothing. They are new businesses, which is fantastic. In downtown today, we have a law firm that is a national law firm. They occupy about 26,000 square feet. The old law firms that used to stay in you know, second-class properties, you know, where they paint the walls, and that's the improvement. They all moved to brand new offices, which is also a definite great thing for downtown, and they are growing. The last count, the block from 9th Street to 10th Street, the south side, we have about 350 people work in these buildings. That's including the Visual Arts Center. 350 people. These are people that need to eat and buy a gift and do things. So that's block alone. I don't know about the rest. New ideas. I mean, look at the market, the market in downtown. I love it. I mean, it's just, I mean, everybody who comes to visit us, we take them to the market because it's the new economy, the new thinking, the new, which is wonderful. So the other good thing that I feel good about is things are starting to happen on 4th Avenue. 4th Avenue is behind. But look, guys, I'm optimistic about 4th Avenue because 3rd Avenue is filled. It's really filled. It's all full, rehabilitated, looks good. People are starting to go to 4th Avenue. Like 4th Avenue across the street from between 8th and 7th Street, all that north side is all done, finished, restored, full. There's still some weak spots but they will come. They will be all right. They will be all right. So that's downtown. I have been very fortunate, and Umayma also had her own interest, that we are very involved in Huntington with multiple things. So we're involved in downtown, but we're also involved with Marshall. Marshall is doing well, folks. It's doing very well. The people talk, and thank you for all your efforts in recruiting and students. We talked a lot when I was on the Board of Governors. The problem we have, we are not able to increase our number of students. But I was analyzing things, and I think one time I shared it with you. There's a shift. Marshall was still, we had the medical school, it was a liberal arts school. I mean, let's face it, I mean, art, theater, teachers, which is great, I mean, I'm not saying, but today we have more of STEM schools. We have the medical school, we have the pharmacy school, we have the engineering school, we have the physical therapy, and we have facilities for the athletics, second to none. So that shift, we are losing some students from the fine art and stuff, but we are gaining a lot in the STEM schools. And the STEM schools, this is what's happening. I'm not worried about the liberal art. Liberal art will always be fine, always be fine. Why? Because we all need that. I mean, think about a doctor or a businessman with not that artistic, you know, tendencies and enjoyment. So it is going to be all right. But we didn't have any STEM schools. And that's weakness, that's serious weakness. And we always compare ourselves to WVU. WVU is a great university, and we're proud of it. I mean, I really feel this way. But there was so much difference between all what they did and the schools that they had. Now we're, without being jealous or anything, we're rising and doing our own things, that's the way to do it. I mean, we are doing our own things. We are not looking for outside to come and help us. And we succeeded. I mean, we're succeeding. So I'm really very, very optimistic about Marshall. The other thing is, we have a president now, and we have the dean of the medical school, the dean of the pharmacy school. They believe in research. And in today's economy, research is so important. You cannot sit there and say, we're a great school. Well, okay, what are you doing? I mean, you need research even if you don't have a big breakthroughs, that you get a big prize or whatever. But we need that basic research. So Dr. Gilbert is emphasizing on research, and recently they announced that we are designated, you have to help me here, Yes, it's D1 or D2. R2. Which is good, which means that we're going to get more grants, which means that if we apply for grants, if we say, oh, these are R2, they are not the D3, whatever we used to be. At any rate, we had about $25 million of research last year, or year before. Last year we had $31 million, and I hope that it keeps growing. What does this mean? That means that this is money coming to our community. This means that physicians, academics, students, residents, everybody is doing some research and growing that area. So research is very important, and it's happening, and the emphasis is there. Joe Shapiro, the first thing he did when he became our dean at the medical school, he said, you know, guys, you don't do any research. So he has research for students. He gives them $2,000, several students. You do research, you have high blood pressure. I'm just giving an example. Study why it's happening and what can you do locally. Try to find out and try to help. So the research is very important. The industry in Huntington, you know, I mean, our generation, we always talk about that we used to have great industry. We used to have Hodai industry. We used to have Owens, Illinois. We used to have this and this. So let me give you my 2 cents about industry. Hodai, Owens, Illinois, they are not vacant buildings, folks. They are not. They are full today. They are full with industry. They don't employ the 2,000 people, because nobody employs 2,000 people anymore. Automation and computerized stuff. But like Owens, Illinois now is the Huntington Industrial Center. It's all full. It's all full with small businesses that are doing their own things. How much they employ, I don't know how much they employ, but nothing like the past. But if you think about it this way, we still have West Virginia Steel, we still have the special metals, we still have the CSX. It's one of 2 CSX car restore, whatever they do. One is in Jacksonville and one is in Huntington, and it's still there. In addition, what do we have now? We have Amazon. Amazon, guys, Amazon is here in Huntington, West Virginia. I know it's a calling center, which is Amazon is here. And it's expanding, and they employ like 500-600 people. They have benefits, they have a fairly decent salary. We do have Alton. Alton, I don't know if anybody of you visited Alton. I visited twice touring when I was involved with Marshall, with touring that. It's an amazing place. It's truly amazing. When I was there, I said, where am I? I mean, they were all dressed in white outfits and masks and hat and microscopes, and I mean, this is cutting edge, guys. This is state of the art, and they employ 500-600 people, and they hopefully they've expanded. They have a land next to them. They need to do some manufacturing other than lenses, so I'm hoping that they will expand. Um, the city has several small high-tech companies. Let me give you an example. There's a company called Core 10. Core 10. They call it fintech. Fintech is financial technology, and they help banks, they help big companies and stuff like this. They are from, I mean, their headquarters is in Tennessee, in Nashville. And one of the principals is from Huntington. So he said, you know, let me see what I can do. We started with 3 people working. Today we have 40. I mean, more than 10 folds. We have, these are things that I'm familiar with. There's something called Blue Ink. I don't know what they do, but it's high tech. I mean, I visited their place. They were on 6th Avenue, and they're all doing these microscopic stuff and trying to build stuff. There were about 3, 4 of them. They became 10, 11. Now they are about 25. They left their place on, you know, where there used to be a photography place on 6th Avenue. That's where they were. Now they got a big space that they are, you know, growing and doing very well. So I'm very, very pleased. I mean, there's another company, it's the same way. They're growing. There's need. And Huntington, I'm hoping after a while, especially with what Marshall did recently, the incubator. Marshall started an incubator recently on, you know, the first floor and the basement of the Visual Arts Center. The incubator is very, very important. I hope they do it right. I hope. But what they did, you know, the president and all the top people flew to Northern Virginia, flew to several places and learned from what these people did. They started small, but they are doing well. So where we have the Visual Arts Center, there's about 5,000 to 6,000 square feet on the first floor, but there's about 7,000 square feet in the basement. So I'm hoping that they will thrive. And what the incubator is going to do, they'll get a young person with ideas. They have great opportunity to start a tech company, but they don't have the funds, they don't have a place to rent. They give it to them for free. And there will be a place where they can fax and email, copy, whatever. So a break, you know, a place to break and relax. So to me, that's a very good step in the right direction. Other things. We have this is a great center for art and culture. And the reason it's very important, 2 or 3 years ago, I'm sure some of you were there, was on the board of the Huntington Museum of Art. We had the head of Humanities Council. I may be wrong, but that's what I remember. So he toured all the states. We were, I think, the 43rd that he came to visit. And we had lunch with him, and he stood up, he said, you know something, I'm not saying this to please you, to make you feel good, but I'm going to tell you what I think about this museum. He said, take Metropolitan Museum, take the Smithsonian, I mean, these are special and unusual. He said, cities twice or 3 times your size, they don't have what you have. I consider you one of the top 10% of the museums in the United States, other than the big ones. I'm talking about 5, 6 big ones, Chicago, New York, Washington. I mean, that's wonderful. I mean, Huntington Museum of Art is an amazing place with all these programs and the kids and Huntington Symphony Orchestra. We need to support Huntington Symphony Orchestra. It's so important. We do have Huntington Symphony Orchestra, which was when it was established. That's when the big downturn of the economy in 2008 and 2009, you know, and they thrived and they continue to function. Huntington Museum of Art, going back to it, there's a program, I mean, so many programs. There's a program, Museum Making Connections. You have to help me museum making connections. Every time you go to the museum, almost every time, there are 3-4 school buses. They come from all over the place, Eastern Kentucky, Southern West Virginia, Southern Ohio, 50, 60, 100 miles away. That's the only exposure that they have to culture, to art. And when I'm there and I see them, I have fun watching them, and they'll be, I mean, they haven't seen anything like this. And at the Huntington Museum of Art, we have, our director is second to none as far as I'm concerned. He's young, he's very aggressive, he wants to do whatever he can do for the museum. And now he's trying to raise $3 million for museum making connections. But he said, I want this to be there 50 years from now, 100 years from now, we have to have an endowment. So we need to help them. He didn't ask me to say this, but we need to help raise some money for that program. It's a very worthy program. The other thing that I want to mention are the medical, I hate to call it the medical industry, but it's the medical industry. Medical industry is huge, is huge. I mean, you take Cabell Huntington Hospital and you take St. Mary's. Between both of them, it's $1 billion budget, $1 billion. So what happened in Huntington is so unique. It's so unique that one hospital wanted to get out, the other hospital bought it, which Cabell bought St. Mary's, and St. Mary's worked so hard to make this happen. St. Mary's could have sold to anyone, any for-profit hospital. They would love it. I mean, it's a great hospital. I practiced there for 45 years, so I'm very partial to it. But what I'm trying to say, we had the wisdom in our leadership, medical leadership, to say, you know something, I may get $10 million more if I sell it to a for-profit, but no, we're going to keep it in the community. Between both of them, what's going to happen is we're going to have a lot of peripheral businesses, a lot of peripheral business. With both of them, I want to bet you anything. In 5 years from now, there will be about 5, 6, 7 hospitals in this system, and we will be the leaders. I mean, when I came to Huntington, this city was the medical center of the whole area. I mean, at that time, I had 40% of my patients coming from Huntington and 60% coming from all over the place. Things changed, the corridor D that goes to Charleston. I mean, Pikeville now have open heart surgery. So the whole thing changed. But when we are strong, we will regain our position as the tertiary care center, and we are regaining it. Omema and I toured the other day the Children's Hospital at Cabell Huntington Hospital. Let me tell you, you have to see that place. I mean it is second to none. It may not be as big as some of the huge hospitals, but believe me, technology, aesthetically, everything, that place is absolutely amazing. What does this mean? It means that we're going to get better doctors, we're going to get better specialists, we're going to get more patients, more helicopters flying emergencies to our hospitals. And I hate to say this, what does it mean? We'll have more doctors, we'll have more nurses, we'll have more people that are going to be part of the growing economy. And it's happening. I mean, this is absolutely. Let me give you an example. The Children's Hospital here in Huntington, we have now subspecialties that we never dreamt that we were going to have. Emergency room surgeon, specialist, children emergency room, children neurologists, children pediatric neurologists, pediatric surgeons, pediatric ENT, pediatric. We couldn't have none of them if we don't have a strong institution that can support them, can pay for them, can pay for equipment to bring so they can practice their medicine in a nice way. The other thing that is so unusual in Huntington, the relationship between the medical school, Cabell Huntington, St. Mary's, and the medical community is excellent. is excellent. I mean, it's not the idea, but they work together, they support each other, and the medical school is part of this. They are not officially part of, but they are part as far as physicians, know-how, research is part of this new entity that we formed recently.